Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, I want to share with you guys our weekly money routine to stay on track with our finances and our financial goals. So if that is of interest to you, then please keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to spit these out in no particular order. Number one is checking our bank accounts. So we do have one main checking account, and then we also have one main savings account. So obviously, I feel like this is for obvious reasons. We have to check in with how much money we have to know how much money we're working with. If we don't know how much money we have, then it makes it hard for us to spend money confidently anyway, because we don't know how much money we have. So the number one thing that we do each and every week is we check in with our bank accounts just to kind of see where they're at, see how much money we've spent, see how much money we have left, and of course to see how much money we have to carry us until our next paycheck. Another thing that we do is we check in with all of our auto transactions. So I've mentioned this time and time before. Everything that happens, 99% of what happens with our money happens automatically. Whenever we invest, that takes place automatically. Whenever we get paid, that takes place via direct deposit, which is automatically. All of our bills are paid automatically. So I'm okay with auto pay. Some people are not so much okay with it, but I'm okay with it because nothing has gone wrong in all the years that I have been using auto pay, but also because I am checking in behind companies, making sure that bills came out. So I don't think that I do far less work than someone who pays their bills manually, because I still have to go in and check and go see how much the bill is before the bill is auto deducted. Like, I have to still do all of that. It's just that I don't manually go in to make any payment. So it's very important for us to check behind all of these companies and to make sure that we are making, our payments are being made and our deposits are being made, our transfers are taking place, just making sure everything is running like a well-oiled machine. Although nothing really runs like a well-oiled machine over here, but you get the purpose of, you get the sentiment. The sentiment is just making sure money's coming in as it should, money is going out as it should. But as far as obviously managing our finances, all in all, it doesn't always go exactly according to plan. The next thing that we do is we log our transactions, and this can take a lengthy amount of time. I do not have any type of software or program or anything that does the work for us. I manually do this. And so the platform or the software that I'm using currently is called Notion. So what I do is I go into our Notion, into whatever budget that we're working on or in for that month. Like right now it's July, so we're in our July budget tab in Notion. And so I go in, I enter in manually all of our income. I enter in manually all of our expenses. And so the beautiful thing is, it is quite the setup. And so if we are spending anything from any particular category, I can just link that transaction to that category, and then it'll tell us whether we're on budget or if we're over budget or whatever the case is. It does give us an accurate depiction of how much money we've spent from each category. So while it is a manual job, on the back end, Notion does all the computing and the calculating for me, as has every other budget software that I've ever used. So there's that. But on the front end, people always ask, do we enter in our transactions automatically or manually? And yes, I enter them in manually. Honestly, I probably do it every day, every couple of days, but definitely never a week goes by where I haven't tracked our expenses or our income. Now, the income is one thing, because we can't determine how much money we bring in necessarily. Like, our paychecks are our paychecks, but we can control how much money we are spending. So it's really important to track those expenses, and it's even more important to track those expenses because we have to know how much money we have spent to know how much money we have left of our budget, or vice versa. Either way it goes, we have to track how much money we are spending, where we're at with all of our different line items and categories, to ensure that we are staying on budget. And even if we're not going to stay on budget, either way, we still have to track our expenses and everything, because then sometimes we do purposefully go over budget. We make a conscious decision to go over budget. And so no matter how you slice it, even if we're going to make a conscious decision to go over budget, we still have to be able to know what have a big picture of what everything is looking like to even know if we could afford to do such a thing. Another thing that we do is we check in with our money goals or tasks. So each month I write out this whole list. We come up together usually, but oftentimes it doesn't change a whole lot from month to month. But we create this whole list for our money tasks that we might need to get done in any given week. In any given month. And then we have our money goals, which are typically just bite-sized, broken down goals from our annual goals. But sometimes, things change, things ebb and flow. So we do have to change things up, of course. But for the most part, we just take some time each week to check in with our goals to see what money tasks we need to complete. I think one thing that comes to me, one major reason why we might do this is because, like, right now in July we have medical bills. Well, we have to make sure that pay off medical bills is a to-do on our money goals list, money tasks list for the month of July. So we have to make sure that whenever that bill needs to be paid, we're meeting that due date, because if not, then there can be repercussions. Like, we could have to pay an additional fee, or it could be delinquent, or go to collections or something like that. So that's just like one small thing that I think of, although I don't know that it's small, but that's just one example that comes to me. But just making sure that we're checking in with our goals to see in our tasks. I kind of list them all together, but really some of them are actual goals and some of them are actual tasks. But just making sure that we're checking in to see how far we've come, what all we still need to do, all of that stuff. Another thing that we have to make sure that we are doing is setting up any transfers. So I know I just said a lot of things happen automatically, but not everything happens automatically. As an example, when we are depositing money into our sinking funds account, we do that manually. And so each week I try to go in and make a transfer. If I don't make it in one week, then I make it in the next week. But at some point during any given week, during any given month, we are going to have to make that transfer to our sinking funds account. Or sometimes there are other transfers. Like, sometimes I'll get a payment to PayPal, and so I have to transfer that to our main checking account or wherever I'm sending it. But sometimes there are some things that we have to do in transfers that we have to make manually, and so we have to make sure that we're staying on top of that to make sure everything is running smoothly. Another thing that we do is we make credit card payments as needed. So we are credit card spenders, and so we will purchase things with our credit card. The whole point is so that we can get some travel credit, because we do have a travel credit card now, and so sometimes we do have to make a credit card payment. Some weeks we don't have to make a credit card payment, but typically we do have to make a credit card payment. So each week we have to make sure we're doing that. We don't have to do it each week. You really just have to pay off your credit card before the next due date. And so technically we could make a monthly credit card payment if we wished, but we just try to stick to making weekly payments, or trying to stick as closely to that interval as possible, just so that we can kind of keep our credit card usage low and all of that. Another thing that we do, it might not be every week, but we do check in with our FICO score, credit score, our credit report, which we can do straight from our devices. So we can use the Experian app, or we use the Capital One app, either or. We just go ahead and check in with our credit reports, our credit scores, just so we can stay on top of that. I just find that the apps give us give us a notification that we have an update at least once a week. And so I'd say probably it happens like every few days, but we just check in probably once a week. And to me, that's really important, because it can let us know if there's any sketchy stuff taking place. It's just important to look at your credit report. Maybe you don't do it weekly, but you definitely want to have some type of habit of doing it, or having notifications turned on so you can get notified if there's any funny business happening. So that's one thing that we like to prioritize. Like I said, I think we get a notification that our score, or there's been some type of adjustment to our report, typically a change in our credit score, probably like every 5 days or so. So about every week or so is when we check in with that. Another thing that we do is we review our bill due dates. As I mentioned, all of our bills are on auto pay. However, there are some bills that we might get after we've already created the budget, like I think our internet bill, just as an example, comes in a little late. I can pretty much already know how much it's going to be, or our electricity bill or our water bill. Some of those bills we don't exactly have, we just have to guess about how much they might be going into the new month, since we do create our budget before the new month gets there. If we don't have definite numbers, we have to just guess. And so being able, as the month goes on and the bills actually come in, the exact amounts, we then get to just review our bills due and the due dates to make sure that we have enough money in our account to pay all of our bills. Similarly, we like to review our pay days, and with that, we pretty much get paid. We know when we're going to get paid and about how much we're going to get paid, but we have to make sure that between each payday we have enough to cover all of our bills and expenses. So just kind of taking some time to just review when the next payday is coming up, how much it's going to be, what bills it is going to cover, and then what bills the next payday will cover is important and essential for us. And then the final thing that we do, again, these are in no particular order, is check in with our remaining budget. We sometimes can do this when we're logging transactions because we can just quickly see, but sometimes I'll just log transactions and I don't go through the budget and get like a full-on update. I just enter in the transaction so I don't forget and go on about my day. But there are times throughout the month, particularly every few days, at least once a week, where we have to sit down and see exactly how much we have spent, and of course how much we still have remaining, if we have any money remaining. Sometimes we max our budget, hit our budget earlier before the month even ends, and so that's very telling to us. But either way, we just like to check in with how much money we've spent. Most importantly though, how much money we have remaining. Okay, you guys, so that is going to be it for this video. Those are 10 steps that we take each week to stay on track with our finances. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video by giving it a like. If you have any tips or tricks that you would like to share or steps that you take, definitely leave those down in the comment section. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you right back here in a few days in a brand new one. Bye guys.